We got a lot going on in real estate today. Our whole world is a little chaotic. Some people in the real estate industry are in panic. Some people are chill because they think they're going to do it the way they've always done it, which is not true. And some people are actually being proactive and taking steps to do the next thing. So
I love
tell me what you think, Betsy.
I think it's freaking amazing. I'm just ready to watch all the people who don't know what they're doing and think this is going to be easy and think that the market is just going to go on and continue to move just absolutely the way it's always moved, fall out of the business.
Hey, everybody, this is Alan and
Betsy,
coming to you from the No BS Bar, where we're here to take the BS out of real estate.
all right.
Here's what I think. There's a lot going on. For those of you that haven't heard, there was a major lawsuit and then a settlement that came against the National Association of Realtors and some of the major companies across the country. And what it really was about was who should be paying the commission and should buyer agents have control over the compensation that their agents get. In the past, what happened was often the seller would pay the commission for the buy side. That was the majority of the time. It was almost like it was a finder's fee. Here's the problem with that. In that situation, the agent that's getting paid by the seller is actually getting paid to compete against the seller's paying them. And actually, the worse that agent did for their buyers, the more the agent got paid. So it really just wasn't the way that it should have been. It should have changed probably 30 years ago when buyer representation came about. But it's got some major changes that we have to make. One of those is if you are a buyer, you can no longer see houses without the representation being signed for in writing before you see that very first house. In fact, some associations are going so far, they got some pretty big things going on. Betsy was telling me she read about New York today. What happened to New York?
I had heard and seen on a friend of mine's page that New York is actually doing, if you are caught not having buyer rep signed prior to going in the house, that there's a $15,000 fine. That's what I heard.
$15,000.
That's crazy.
One of the major things that happened was sellers and their agents can no longer advertise in the multiple listing service or promote in the multiple listing service any kind of compensation to the buyer's agent. One of our local associations here across the border in North Carolina put it out. First offense, $1,000 fine to the agent. Second offense, $1,000 fine to the agent, $1,000 fine to the broker, and the agent loses access to the MLS for 12 months, basically puts them out of business. We've got to stop looking at the compensation on the buyer side as being a finder's fee from the seller. We've got to start looking at it as that's what the buyer agent gets paid for the services they are performing for the buyer, and therefore the buyer puts value on those and is willing to pay their agent.
Everybody's looking for a loophole. They're looking for how are we gonna advertise it? Are we gonna put it on the side? Are we gonna put it in the lockbox? Are we gonna make separate websites? How are we gonna do this? How are we gonna go out there? How are we gonna protect everybody?
All those agents that are looking for loopholes, first of all, a loophole is a noose when it really comes down to it. They're looking to get hung because here's what's gonna happen. Those agents are the same agents that would have in the past when houses became available to buyers on the internet, everybody thought, oh, gloom and doom, this is the end of our industry as we know it. As it turned out, there ended up being more homes sold, more agents in the business, more compensation than ever existed when houses became available on the internet for buyers to look. Those agents looking for loopholes are old school agents. They're lazy. They don't want to represent their clients in the best way. Because if you truly are representing your seller, you would recommend that you never offer compensation until the offer is seen.
Correct.
Because why would you want the buyers, part of the new settlement is the buyer's agent can no longer receive any more money than their agreement states. So what happens if you've got a buyer agent out there and as an example, they agreed that they were going to do it for 1.5 bananas, but we can actually tell you it's 1.5% commission. If they were going to do it for 1.5%, why would you ever try to talk your seller into offering a 2.5% compensation because they'd be giving some away?
Right.
As a good listing agent looking out for your seller, I think the only thing you should be recommending is that, hey, you need to be prepared. They may ask for compensation, just like they may ask for an inspection, or they may ask for repairs, or they may ask for an allowance for a roof. They may ask for an allowance for the compensation to their buyer agent. Your seller needs to be prepared for that. But in no way should that be given away without seeing the total offer and negotiating it. Those agents that are trying to do that and trying to find the loophole, they're weak agents. They're just trying to do it the old way and do it so they're comfortable and so they don't have to negotiate for their seller.
Correct.
Now, on the opposite side of that, we've got buyer agents who are thinking, I got to do all this extra work. Oh my gosh, I've got to call the listing agent every time to find out what compensation they're offering because it's not in the MLS anymore. And so I have to go call them. Here again, weak agent, not willing to do the work. You're a really strong listing agent. What are you going to do when all these buyers who are saying they're going to call every listing agent every time to find out about compensation before they even see a house?
When they call me, it's going to be completely dependent on the offer. There's all these different offers that come in. I mean, some people are trying still to come in under. I mean, you come in under, your commission is definitely going to matter. You come in over, I mean, obviously, you know, somebody who comes in over and they're asking for a full commission, that's a totally different story. I mean,
right.
You know, your commission's built in. I mean,
how about before they even bring an offer? They want to know before they show the house.
Oh, well, commission's negotiable. And I'm not even going to talk about commission before you bring me an offer. I don't want to see it. You're not going to know what commission is. It's negotiable.
They should be confident in their skill set in negotiating that they get to negotiate the compensation with the offer. It shouldn't matter what the seller's offering. Let's say your buyer rep agreement said that you get 3% and the seller's only offer, you call them up on the phone and they say they're only offering 2%. Does that mean you're not showing the house? Now, if you make the decision, all kinds of problems and violations with that because basically you shouldn't be putting the compensation above your client's interest. But even if you convince your buyer that they don't want to see that house because they would have to come out of pocket, I think you're doing a disservice to your buyer because how many times do you ever show a $500,000 house and you end up getting it for $490,000? Or you end up paying $520,000 because it was competitive and you had to go above the list price. All that's negotiable, and that's all the commissions become now. So those agents that are calling all the listing agents to ask about compensation before showing a house, they're wasting their time. We've actually instructed our agents as listing agents, the best thing you can do is tell those agents when they call you, it's all negotiable depending on the total terms of the offer. Because here's the deal. If I'm a seller and somebody offers me more than my list price and they're asking for compensation, that could be better than somebody that comes in and brings me an offer below the list price. I think everybody's just got to take a step back. Quit looking for a way around it. We are embracing it. We think our clients will embrace it because we really get to look out for their best interest on both sides, even more than we've been able to in the past.
I think it's freaking amazing.
I think it's a great thing.